Hi everyone, my name is Larissa and today I'm going to talk about swimming and CMT. I've heard this statement many times. Swimming is very beneficial for people with CMT. It's like the best physical activity that people with CMT can do. Watch this video till the end to find out more and to learn some exercises you can do in the water. Is it really true that swimming is somehow the most superior physical activity for people with CMT? Don't get me wrong, I love swimming. I used to swim a lot when I was a kid in the river during the summertime when I was staying at my grandma's place in the village in Russia. And I really love swimming now when I live in Okinawa in Japan, arguably the most beautiful place in Japan. But when I hear people say swimming is the best physical activity for people with CMT, I always wonder if it's true, and if yes, why? So first of all, I decided to look into research exploring swimming in people with CMT. And guess what I found? Nothing. Well, almost nothing. There is one study in animals, in rats, and there is a few case reports about swimming in people with CMT. So case reports means that it's just one or two people. The research paper that I found is actually in one person with CMT, and it does explore the beneficial effect of swimming in this person with CMT. So without large-scale studies, it's really difficult to make a conclusion if swimming is beneficial for people with CMT or not. And we don't know what to even recommend, therefore, because we don't know what duration, what intensity, how often the swimming should be done in people with CMT. But when such data is missing, what we can refer to is common sense, the data that is available, which is not that much, and also the data in healthy people. So the first paper I want to highlight is the study that was done in rats. The researchers induced a sciatic nerve injury in rats, and they then exposed these rats to swimming, not immediately after some kind of a recovery period. But anyway, these rats were injured first, their nerve was injured, so this is like a model of neuropathy, and then they were exposed to swimming. And of course there were several groups as usual. There was a sham group, so the group that wasn't exercising or swimming. There was a group that was exercising, and then there were groups which were also control groups. The group that was not injured at all, so normal rats, and those who were not injured but were also exercising. So there were several groups, and therefore we can talk about this study as being controlled. So the swimming regime that the rats were put on was 20 minutes of swimming a day, 5 days a week for 4 weeks. And after this regime, the level of myelin protein 0 protein was measured in these rats, as well as neuropathic pain was also estimated in these rats. And what did the researchers find? They found out that swimming, first of all, led to the normalization of the level of myelin protein 0 and to the attenuation of neuropathic pain. So simply put, what it means is that swimming helped the rats with their neuropathic pain that was caused by the sciatic nerve injury, and also on the molecular level, swimming helped to counteract kind of the disturbances that were observed because of the nerve injury. And it is really tempting to correlate this result, to kind of translate these results to CMT, particularly type 1b, because CMT type 1b is caused by mutations in this gene, myelin protein 0 gene, MPZ. But remember, the rats didn't actually have the mutation in the gene. What they had is a mechanical injury of the nerve. But it happened so that the researchers particularly focused on measuring this specific protein. And it does make sense to think about, well, yeah, since this protein is disturbed in the sciatic nerve injury that the researchers induced on those rats, and since the mutation in the same gene, in the MPZ gene, leads to CMT1B, we kind of can talk about this research as being like a rat model of CMT1B. But it is not exactly like that. I hope you understand. So the fact that swimming did help with the neuropathic pain and did counteract these molecular changes that were induced by the nerve injury is kind of reassuring. But what about the data in humans? So there is a paper where researchers report a case of a wheelchair-bound woman with CMT type 4A. This type of CMT is caused by mutations in the gene GDAP1. And this lady started swimming actively at the age of 32. She started going to the pool, and with time she gradually increased her load, so much so that she became a Paralympic swimming champion, actually, which is quite impressive. So the researchers state that this woman started going to the swimming pool at the age of 32, and she gradually increased her workout from 25 to 50 meters to 1200 to 1500 meters, so more than a kilometer in each pool session for approximately 1.5 hour duration for each session. And then the researchers described that after 5 years of this kind of intense swimming training, there were multiple beneficial effects that were noticed in this woman. So first of all, her proximal muscles really improved, such as biceps and triceps, and also her anxiety decreased, her quality of life increased, and her autonomy also increased. So as I mentioned at the beginning, she was wheelchair bound, so that means that she was using a wheelchair to move around. But after this 5 years of intense swimming training, she could do it more autonomously. So while she needed a lot of help to move around, even being in a wheelchair, she actually became much more self-dependent. She could propel herself much better in a wheelchair after this training. She also improved her self-esteem, and there was a remarkable improvement in depression and anxiety. So after discussing this paper, you might think that, oh, this is really cool, we should all start swimming immediately. But there is one important detail in this paper. This woman, she didn't just swim. She also did some gym weight training. In fact, she was doing quite a lot. So she did physical training, including 2 to 3 sessions of weight and aerobic exercise per week of 90 minutes duration each in a gymnasium. So that's actually a lot. And I think this is the key point here. In addition to swimming, she was doing weight training 2 to 3 times a week. So this really tells us, well, maybe swimming is not really enough to achieve such great results, physical results. And this is exactly the message I want to convey today. I think swimming is great, especially as a cardio routine, but it is not enough. Just swimming, if you only do swimming, it is not enough. And it's true that it is not enough for healthy people, for people without any diseases, but it is also not enough for people with CMT, I believe. And this is what the data is also showing us, I feel like. So why isn't swimming enough? Because swimming doesn't have this weight-bearing quality that resistance and strength training has. And this is really important for everybody to be doing. It's important to resist against something, to hold your weight, to lift your weight, to lift weights, because this is how our bones respond to load. So bones get stronger and they respond to load, but swimming doesn't have enough load for the bones to respond by getting stronger and for the muscles to get stronger as well. And at the same time, there is quite a few studies that have shown the beneficial effect of strength or resistance training in people with CMT. So for that kind of training, we do have data, whereas for swimming, we have very limited data. And as I already mentioned, I think that swimming can be and maybe even should be a part of the physical activity kind of regime for people with CMT, but just swimming is not enough. So if I were to kind of plan my workouts around swimming, I would do maybe 2 or 3 times a week swimming as a cardio training, as a cardio workout, and also as an active recovery kind of workout. So if you don't swim too actively, if you're just moving a little bit but you're not making your heart beat too fast, you can use swimming as an active recovery workout after your intense gym or like at home weight training, for example. Also, another option is to start from swimming if you have CMT but you have never exercised before. This could be like a gentle introduction into exercising, and you will improve the kind of strength and mobility in some parts of your body, and you will probably improve the cardiovascular state, the cardiovascular system, but it will not be enough. So you can start from swimming, and you can then add on weight training, strength training, and also balance, stretching, and hand and feet specific exercises. These are also very important for people with CMT. And check out my workout library on cmtsmart.com, where I recorded lots of videos exactly for that, for improving all kinds of muscles, for improving balance, mobility, flexibility, and cardiovascular system as well. So on the workout library you can find workouts of different modality, duration, different level, for beginners, for advanced, for intermediate, for everybody, and using different equipment so that it's not boring. But you can do all of those workouts at home, or you can also do some things in the gym. You can also add your swimming regime to this kind of program. So it's very customizable, variable, heterogeneous, just like people with CMTR. So check out my workout library for an all-rounded exercise program. Now let's talk about what kind of exercises you can do when you're in the water, whether it's in the pool or in the sea. So first of all, of course, there are just normal swimming styles, right? I am not an expert in swimming styles at all, but I know that there are such things as front crawl style, backstroke, kind of frog style, and each of these styles kind of trains different muscles. So I feel like combining different styles is a good way to make sure that you're working different muscles. So for example, when you do front crawling or when you do back stroke, what you are working mostly is the chest, the shoulders, and the lats, the arms, the biceps, the triceps as well. And maybe also some of the leg muscles. But when you're doing like a froggy style, you can do it like this, and the legs go to the side more. So in this way, the leg muscles are working better, and you are training your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes, as well as adductors, the muscles that bring the legs together. So I'll show you these movements a little later on. And then there are also just normal kind of exercises which you can do in the water, especially if the water is calm, to improve the strength of other muscles in your body. And you can actually start from them if you haven't exercised at all, and if you don't really know how to swim very well. You can just start from normal exercises that can be done on land but can also be done in the water, and let me show you some of them. So like I said, there are several swimming styles. First, it can be the front crawl. Well, you see I cannot move my arms down, but you understand the idea, I hope. And you can do the backstroke as well, when you're lying on your back and you're doing this kind of movements with your arms. And the one that I particularly like is kind of the froggy style. So when you're doing like this, and you shouldn't be looking up like this, you should be looking down so that the neck is not getting too much stress. And we are doing the movement with the hands and also with the legs. And you see, because the legs are going to the side and they're kind of turning out, and then once you bring them together, the adductors are working, the inner thigh muscles. And you can add an additional movement here with your feet. So when you do this kind of movement, you can try and work your feet as well, right? Dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. Even if it's just a tiny movement, still try doing it, and I'm sure it's gonna work for you. The next exercise you can try doing in the water is for hip flexors, to strengthen the muscles that flex our hips. So this can be lifting one leg and the other leg, one leg and the other leg. And actually it might look like it's difficult to do in the water, but for me, for example, it's much easier to do it in the water rather than on the land, especially if I'm not holding on to anything. But you can grab a buddy who you can hold on to in the water and do this kind of exercises. Okay, the next one that I like is all kinds of twists for oblique muscles, for abdominal muscles of the sides. So you can do all kinds of twisting and rotating, and you can also add a little punch in the water. So this way you're also resisting the water, punching through. Just make sure that you are engaging the abs. Your glutes should be engaged as well. And we're doing this pelvic tilt, our favorite pelvic tilt, when we engage the abs and protect our lower back. And then you can just be doing a little punch to the side. You can also do the front punch, all kinds of punches, punches down, punches from the side, and punches up, but then it will not be in the water. Okay, then you can do all kinds of water resistant exercises. You can do it with your arms like this, up and down, or you can go this way and this way. So this is really, we are kind of imitating swimming, right? This is also very good exercise to do. So we're just swimming. Just again, make sure you're not doing that with your neck. You're keeping it straight in line with the rest of the spine. And then something else I like doing is for the abs. So this exercise, I stay in the shallow water and I try to sit almost like on the bottom of the sea. So let me show you. So imagine that this is not a blanket, it's the bottom of the sea, but it's in the very shallow waters, very close to the shore. I will try to show you to you in the water as well, but for you just to get a better idea of the mechanics of the movement. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to keep my hands behind me and really kind of dig into the sand at the bottom of the sea. And then I lift my legs and I'm trying to bring them in and out. So you see, when I'm doing it on the land, it's actually very difficult and it hurts my wrists a little bit. But if you do it in the water, it's a completely different story. So what you're doing is you're contracting your abs and you're bringing the legs in and out, in and out. And you will really feel how your abs are working very well. And then you can just do some stretching, like hip flexor stretching like this, for example, or you can do a little quadricep stretch in the water, a little chest stretch in the water, and just, you know, do like a starfish relaxation floating in the water.